Okay, first I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today, and then I'm going to orient you in the story, and then we'll begin to read. Today is day 8. We're going to read Genesis 16 through 17, Job 5 through 6, and Proverbs 1 through 20, 20 through 33. Then what we're going to do is, and you may or may not want to stay for this after the reading, this is a Catholic commentary right at Lynn's Timeless Treasures blog, and you can go on here, and she gives you a little explanation of what we just read about. If you want to stay for that, great. If you don't, that's fine. It's a commentary on everything that we just read, and then a little daily defense, and that's from Jimmy Akin, A Daily Defense. So yeah, I really like it, so I'm adding that as supplement. Okay, so let me orient us to where we are. Okay, so first off, let's look at where we are in the story now. Sorry. Oops. Okay, so we are in the, let me just show you the time period first. We are in, of the 14 narrative books, we are still in the first book, Genesis. Of the time periods, we are in the second time period, the Patriarchs, here, Burgundy. Okay? And today, for the covenants, we're right smack in the middle of this. We did Genesis 15, and now we're right in the middle of 17. So there's 3 parts to this Abraham covenant. Okay? We did these first 2 before. We're right here. Okay? So let's go over here. And so in the 70 key events, let's look at our 70 key events first. Our 70 key events, we did creation, fall, curse, flood, the Babel, we did the blessing. So now we are right here in 8. Okay, we're doing the covenant, and we're right in the middle of the covenant. Last time we did the first part of the covenant. Now we're in the second part, okay, of the 70 key events. Remember, I showed you all the key events through the whole story of salvation. That's it, everything in 70 key events, and you would understand the entire story of the Bible. So let's go back here and zoom in, and here we are, second time period, Patriarchs, first book, Genesis of 12. So this is 1 of 14, the time period, or 1 of 12, the time periods, and this is rather 2. We're on the second of 12 periods, and we're in the first book of 14 narrative books. We're in the second half of the first book. And we're right here doing the covenant. This is the God's family plan, the covenant. And we are right here in the middle of 8. Okay? And we're doing the Abrahamic covenant. We did 15 last time. We're doing 17 now. The kingdom promise. Okay, last time was the land promise in 15, Genesis 15. Now we're in Genesis 17. We're doing the kingdom promise, the Davidic covenant. Last time was under the Abrahamic. There's the Mosaic covenant for Moses. There's the Davidic covenant for David. And then the last one is the new covenant with Jesus. But we're leading up to that. We're right in the middle here. Okay, so let's go to, this is day 8, and let me just do this real quick and we'll get started reading. So, starting up from Noah to Abraham, and Abraham all the way down here to Judah, where we pick up Judah here, and all leads down to David, to Mary, to Joseph, and ultimately Jesus. I really like the genealogy to understand that. It orients me in the story. So that's why I like to do that. So let's get started with our reading. Okay. Whoops. Oh, no. Don't want that. Don't want that. How do I get rid of that? Okay, so now we're going to start our reading and look for our Bible. What did we say? We're starting at 16 and 17. Sorry, trying to get this right. Okay, that should be better. Okay, birth of Ishmael. Abram's wife Sarai had borne him no children. Now she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from bearing children. Have intercourse with my maid. Perhaps I will have sons through her." Abram obeyed Sarai. Thus, after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, his wife Sarai took her maid Hagar, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. He had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. As soon as Hagar knew she was pregnant, her mistress lost all stature in her eyes. So Sarai said to Abram, "This outrage against me is your fault. I myself gave my maid to your embrace, but ever since she knew she was pregnant, I have lost stature in her eyes. May the Lord decide between you and me." Abram told Sarai, "Your maid is in your power. Do to her what you regard as right." Sarai then mistreated her so much that Hagar ran away from her. The Lord's angel found her by a spring in the wilderness, the spring on the road to Shur, and he asked Hagar, "Maid of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She answered, "I am running away from my mistress Sarai." But the Lord's angel told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her authority." "I will make your descendants so numerous," added the Lord's angel, "that they will be too many to count." But the Lord's angel said to her, "You are now pregnant and shall bear a son, and you shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heeded your affliction. He shall be a wild ass of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. Alongside all his kindred shall he encamp." To the Lord who spoke to her, she gave a name, saying, "You are God who sees me." She meant, "Have I really seen God and remained alive after he saw me?" That is why the well is called Bir Lahai Roi. It is between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named the son whom Hagar bore him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Let's go to 17 now. And move our pictures. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said, I am God, the Almighty. Walk in my presence and be blameless. Between you and me, I will establish my covenant, and I will multiply you exceedingly. We're in the kingdom promise here. Abram fell face down, and God said to him, For my part, here is my covenant with you. You are to become the father of a multitude of nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham, for I am making you the father of multitude of nations. And here's a great article I'm going to put in on why God changes names, and a little bit of interesting things in there that you may like. So I'm going to add that in the video, a link. I will make you exceedingly fertile, and I will make nations of you. Kings will stem from you. I will maintain my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you, throughout the ages, as an everlasting covenant, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. I will give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are now residing as aliens, the whole land of Canaan as a permanent possession, and I will be their God. God said to Abraham, for your part, you and your descendants after, you must keep my covenant throughout the ages. This is the covenant between me and you and your descendants after you that you must keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. Circumcise the flesh of your foreskin. That will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. Throughout the ages, every male among you, when he is 8 days old, shall be circumcised, including houseborn slaves and those acquired with money from any foreigner who is not of your descendants. Yes, both the houseborn slaves and those acquired with money must be circumcised. Thus my covenant will be in your flesh as an everlasting covenant. If a male is uncircumcised, that is, if the flesh of his foreskin has not been cut away, such a one will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God further said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, do not call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her, and I will give you a son by her. Her also will I bless. She will give rise to nations, and rulers of people will issue from her. Abraham's face fell down and laughed as he said to himself, Can a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Can Sarah give birth at 90? So Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael could live in your favor. God replied, Even so, your wife Sarah is to bear you a son, and you shall call him Isaac. It is with him that I will maintain my covenant as an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after him. Now for Ishmael, I will heed you. I hereby bless him. I will make him fertile, and I will multiply him exceedingly. He will become the father of 12 chieftains, and I will make of him a great nation. But my covenant will remain with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you by this time next year. When he finished speaking with Abraham, God departed from him. When Abraham took his son Ishmael and all his slaves, whether born in his house or acquired with his money, every male among them, the members of Abraham's household, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskins on that same day, as God told him to do. Abraham was 99 years old when the flesh of his foreskin was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13 years old when the flesh of his foreskin was circumcised. Thus, on that same day, Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised, and all the males of his household, including the slaves born in his house or acquired with his money from foreigners, were circumcised with him. I like this because it explains a little bit at the bottom on some of them. Okay, so now we're going to Job 5:6 and then Proverbs 1:20 through 33. Job 5, 6. Let's go to our Bible. Books, rather. Job. Where are we, Job? Call now. Will anyone respond to you? To which of the holy ones will you turn? Surely impatience kills the fool. Don't know what this is. It should be working. Okay. An indignation slays the simpleton. I have seen a fool spreading his roots, but I cursed his household suddenly. May his children be far from safety. May they be crushed at the gate without a rescuer. Will they have reaped what they have reaped? May the hungry eat up, or God take away by blight, or the thirsty swallow their substance. For not from dust does mischief come, nor from the soil does trouble sprout. Human beings beget mischief, as sparks fly upward. In your place I will appeal to God, and God would state my plea. He does great things and unsearchable things, marvelous and innumerable. He gives rain upon the earth and sends water upon the fields. He sets up the lowly on high, and those who mourn are raised to safety. He frustrates the plans of the cunning, so that their hands achieve no success. He catches the wise in their own ruses, and designs of the crafty are routed. They meet with the darkness in the daytime. At noonday they grope as though it were night. But he saves the poor from the sword of their mouth, from the hand of the mighty. Thus the needy have hope, and iniquity closes its mouth. Happy the one whom God reproves. The Almighty's discipline do not reject, for he wounds, but he binds up. He strikes, but his hand gives healing. Out of the 6 troubles he will deliver you, and at the 7th no evil shall touch you. In famine he will deliver you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. From the scourge of the tongue you shall be hidden, and you shall not fear approaching ruin. At ruin and want you shall laugh. The beasts of the earth do not fear. With the stones of the field shall your covenant be, and the wild beasts shall be at peace with you. And you shall know that your tent is secure. Taking stock of your household, you shall miss nothing. You shall know that your descendants are many, and your offspring like the grass of the earth. You shall approach the grave in full vigor, and as shock of grain comes in at its season. See, this we have searched out. So it is. This we have heard, and you should know. Then Job answered, Job's first reply. Then Job answered, Ah, could my anguish but be measured, and my calamity laid with it in the scales? They would now outweigh the sands of the sea. Because of this I speak without restraint. For the arrows of the Almighty are in me, and my spirit drinks in their poison. The terrors of God are arrayed against me. Does the wild donkey bray when it has grass? Does the ox low over its fodder? Can anything insipid be eaten without salt? Is there flavor in the white of an egg? I refuse to touch them. They are like loathsome food to me. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant what I long for, even that God would decide to crush me, that he would put forth his hand and cut me off. Then I should excuse me. Then I should still have consolation, and could exult through unremitting pain, because I have not transgressed the commands of the Holy One. What strength have I that I should endure? And what is my limit that I should be patient? Have I the strength of stones, or is my flesh of bronze? Have I no helper, and has my good sense deserted me? A friend owes kindness to one in despair, though he has forsaken the fear of the Almighty. My companions are undependable as a wadi, as watercourses that run dry in the wadis. Though they may be black with ice and with snow heaped upon them, yet once they flow, they cease to be. In the heat they disappear from their place. Caravans wander from their roots. They go into the wasteland and perish. The caravans of Tema search. The companies of Sheba have hopes. They are disappointed, though they were confident. They come there and are frustrated. It is thus that you have now become for me. You see a terrifying thing and are afraid. Have I said, give me something, make a bribe on my behalf from your possessions, or deliver me from the hand of the enemy? Redeem me from oppressors. Teach me, and I will be silent. Make me understand how I have erred. How painful honest words can be, yet how unconvincing is your argument. Do you consider your words as proof, but the sayings of a desperate man as wind? You would even cast lots for the orphan, and would barter over your friend. Come now, give me your attention. Surely I will not lie to your face. Think it over. Let there be no injustice. Think it over. I am still am right. Is there insincerity on my tongue, or cannot my taste discern falsehood? That's why I like Father Mike Schmitz, because he takes all three of these readings like a homily and gives you a good explanation to it all. Proverbs 1:20 through 33. Lynn's has a little bit of it, but Father Mike Schmitz kind of puts it all together a little bit, so that's why I like to listen to him. So Proverbs 1:20 through 33. So let's go back to our Bible books. Proverbs. Wait a minute, what did I say here? 20 to 33. 20 to 33. Wisdom in person gives a warning. Wisdom cries aloud in the street. In the open square she raises her voice. Down the crowded ways she calls out. At the city gates she utters her words. How long, you naive ones, will you love naivete? How long will you turn away from my reproof? The arrogant delight in their arrogance, and fools hate knowledge. Lo, I will pour out to you my spirit. I will acquaint you with my words, because I called and you refused, extended my hand and no one took notice, because you disdained all my counsel and my reproof you ignored. I, in my turn, will laugh at your doom, will mock when terror overtakes you, when terror comes upon you like a storm, and your doom approaches like a whirlwind, when stress and anguish befall you. Then they will call me, but I will not answer. They will seek me, but will not find me, because they hated knowledge, and the fear of the Lord they did not choose. They ignored my counsel. They spurned all my reproof. Well then, they shall eat the fruit of their own way, and with their own devices be glutted. For the straying of the naive kills them. The smugness of fools destroys them. But whoever obeys me dwells in security, in peace, without him fear of harm. Okay, so that's our reading for today. And let me go over here to Lynn and do our little commentary. And of course I love the painting that she has up, Hagar weeping. Day 8, this is where you can go directly, and I'll put a link in the description, and go directly to day 8. Job rebuked by his friends. This is by the famous author William Blake. I love a lot of his paintings, are just gorgeous. A commentary. God's oath, kingship, and a name. The Great Adventure, Session 4, Patriarchs, Part 1. Understanding the Scriptures. The Didache Series, Chapter 5. By this time, Sarai starts to think that God may not have meant that Abram's heir should come through her. One of the customs of the time had spread through the corruption of polygamy. What was that a woman could give her servant to her husband and then claim the child as hers. Sarai had an Egyptian maid named Hagar, and she gave her to Abram. Abram did as Sarai asked, and Hagar conceived and gave birth to a son, Ishmael. But this is not the son that God had in mind. When Abram was 99 years old, God appeared to him yet again and made a second promise, this time of kingship and a name. I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. Behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall you be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come forth through you. This promise will be fulfilled in the covenant with David. Once again, there will be an external sign of this covenant with God. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be the sign of the covenant between me and you. Circumcision, a permanent marking of the flesh, would be a sign of the covenant between God and his people. At this time God also changed Sarai's name to Sarah, and said, I will bless her, and of her I will give thee a son, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him. A daily defense, Day 8, Christianity and the existence of Jesus. Challenge. What evidence do we have that Jesus even existed? Defense. Apart from the references to Jesus in early Christian and non-Christian literature, the appearance and rapid spread of Christianity provide powerful evidence to the existence of Jesus. Josephus indicates Jesus was a Jew in the 1st century Palestine. Thus, Jesus' brother was executed in AD 62, Antiquities of the Jews. Tacitus says Jesus was executed during the rule of Tiberius by the procurator Pontius Pilate. Pilate's tenure was AD 26 to 36, writing around AD 110. Pliny the Younger notes he interviewed people in his province of Bithynia in modern Turkey who had been Christians 20 years earlier. The movement had made such an impact on his territory that the sellers of animals for pagan sacrifices had suffered an economic downturn, and pagan temples were almost deserted. Tacitus and Suetonius speak of Christians in Rome during the reign of Nero, and Suetonius appears to refer to them being there under Claudius. Other 1st and 2nd century sources show that the movement was in Syria, Antioch, Ephesus, Corinth, Thessalonica, Philippi, and many other locations. All sources agree that Christianity was a new movement beginning in the first half of the 1st century. Christian sources even admit it did not begin until the 15th year of Tiberius. This means that Christianity spread extremely quickly, and it did so in an age without telecommunications, without the printing press, and when travel was difficult and dangerous. The only way for a movement to spread that quickly under those conditions was if it was both organized and driven by a powerful missionary impulse. Early Christian writings reveal quite a bit about how the movement was organized. Its initial leaders were known as apostles, which in Greek means sent ones. So who did the sending? The sources we have are unanimous. Jesus of Nazareth. The apostles were sent by him. In view of the rapid spread of Christianity, there is no reason to doubt this. Movements have founders, and they preserve the memory of their founder. The appearance and growth of Christianity thus point to the existence of Jesus. Now we're basically done, but I didn't really go through this time part here at the bottom. Let me get a little closer here. The world power at this time was Egypt, and I didn't mention that, but I wanted to show that at that time it was Egypt. So, okay, we are done for today.